Well, I'm all froggy, so
Okay. We'll make a good pair.
we will, absolutely. So, good morning, everybody. This is Lori at Triquetra Therapeutic Services, and this is the Conversations from the Farm. So, today I'm joined by the lovely Jessica Haas, and I am just going to open it up and just ask Jessica to explain who she is and where she's from, and we'll go from there. So, Jessica, welcome, and thank you for joining me today. And can you tell us who Jessica is and where you are from?
Oh, that's not a big question at all or anything. I'll just summarize that in one statement for you. No. I am a health coach with a functional medicine practice. Right now, I work with a wonderful doctor, Dr. Shelley Meyer in Denver, Colorado.
Mhm.
And I work with predominantly with women who are anxious, who have anxiety issues, stress management. Generally, that turns into gut health issues for them, or hormonal imbalance.
Mhm.
So I do a lot of work on helping to implement the protocols that the doctor provides for that hormonal gut balance, specialized diets, things like that. But
Okay.
then we also dig into um, what is going on with the stress piece and how
Mhm.
that is affecting digestion, how that's affecting the body. That mind body connection is much stronger than you would initially than most people initially recognize.
Yeah.
And so once we dig in there, a lot of times there's relief as well.
That's amazing and wonderful work. Like,
Mhm.
good for you.
It's really fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, are you currently operating as a business or are you still just working as an employee?
I currently work in tandem with Dr. Meyer, but I am working on an offshoot of my own business. I have an email list, and I'm starting to play with jumping out and getting my own clientele because I'm just getting a lot more calls for that right now.
Right.
And
Right. Okay. So, do you have a name for your business at all?
yeah, well, right now it's health coach Jessica, which is pretty basic, but
That's
we're working on that.
Doesn't have to be a fancy name. Okay, no, that's amazing. So how long have you been doing this work?
I have been coaching for 4 years
Mhm.
in the practice, and I have been in functional holistic medicine for much longer than that. I that was my background, my minor in college, and it's just something that's always been in my universe. So,
Very cool. Very cool. Okay, so what is your motivation for your business? Like, what's the motivation for you to do your own business?
I found myself at a point in my life where I was dealing with high levels of stress. I was juggling a lot of things, and it was so empowering when I was able to turn around the message that I was telling myself and start working on the programming in my mind,
Mhm.
um, to to help ease some of this energetic leaking that was going on. So I learned, instead of telling myself that I was working hard all the time, something as simple as turning it around and saying I'm working with ease,
Mhm.
um, and really practicing that. That's something that takes a while, and it's a habit that has to be formed.
Mhm.
Um, but it shifted my productivity. It shifted my mood. It shifted my relationships. There was so much that came with that.
Mhm.
And that health piece too. We think about the mind and the body as so separate, but when you start taking care of your body, it really benefits that mental state and vice versa. The
Mhm.
days that I don't exercise, I know that I'm much more stressed. I'm much more just generally unhealthy and unwell.
Mhm.
So really looking at that whole picture instead of just targeting symptoms. I've always been a strong believer that um, we focus too much on one individual symptom at a time instead of incorporating the whole person
Mhm.
and the whole journey. And everyone is a little different, so it's been an honor and a blessing to get to work with so many different kinds of people um, on essentially the same problem, but in a completely different setting. It's that environmental piece
Mhm.
of what is the environment of your body, what is the environment of your mind, What are you surrounded by in your actual physical environment? And
Mhm.
how does that all come together for you in a way that helps you become aligned, right?
Mhm. Mhm. Wow. Wow. Okay, so what inspires you?
What inspires me? Um, I love the connection of people, and people in general just inspire me. I'm the person at the party that wants to talk one on one with people. And I love going deep. I love um, those moments when we hit on something that's really intense and life changing for a person, and
Mhm.
can when I can help them step out of that, it's just this magical experience. And
Mhm.
so, um, just the magic of moving a person from a place where they're unhappy or unhealthy or uncomfortable, and being able to help them see in their own light, right? This is not about me fixing you, but it's about how you already have that power in you to change.
Mhm.
And once you awaken that, it's such a beautiful process.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's why we get along so well. For those who don't know, we're actually in a coaching program together, and we are each other's accountability coach for this month. So it's been fun getting to know Jessica a little bit, and I hope that we will definitely expand that connection even after the program is over. So I'm having a great time with it. So can you tell us a little bit, for those that don't know, just a little tiny bit about what functional medicine is?
So, functional medicine is about it's about getting to the root cause, and it's about integrating different modalities to get to that root cause.
Mhm.
Um, it does look a lot at like the microbiome and things like that. So it's a newer model,
Okay.
but the overreaching um, piece of functional medicine that I really like is that root cause, whole body, whole person solution.
Mhm.
Most of the people who come to us have tried a lot of different things, and nothing has really worked because I believe mostly because it is one thing at a time,
Mhm.
and they have many things going on. So sometimes if you have a gut upset, maybe you're in stress, which is going to shut down the blood flow to the stomach, because if you're in fight or flight, you're not digesting food, you're not in rest and digest, right? So
Mhm.
you've got this stressor going on, and then you're dealing with um, maybe a microbial imbalance
Mhm.
or a parasitic infection, or something else is going on. Maybe you have a sensitivity to gluten, or you have a histamine problem, or we look at a lot of different vitamins and minerals that might be out of balance, right? So there's probably multiple areas that are affecting that gut, and it's probably built up over a long time. It's not like, oh, I just got, this infection overnight. This is the way that I've habitually been eating.
Yeah.
So this is what the microbes have been able to feed on. And then I've been putting more pressure on the body by being stressed and things like that. So looking at that root cause and what is the underlying thing that started it,
Yeah.
and then how do we work backwards to fix all the different symptoms that are going on in the person?
Wow. So in depth. That's amazing. That is amazing. So I wish you were closer because I could probably use your help. I don't actually think we have any functional medicine doctors or practitioners here at all. I know we have a couple of
Just have
natural.
to come, you just have to come visit once for the in-person visit. um, and then we can do virtual. So there is
Yeah,
that.
there we go. Right. Yeah. Colorado's a little bit of a stretch.
It is a
It is a
little
place I
little
want to go, but it is a bit of a stretch.
Yes, I was giggling. I went to the Canada show at Disney World, and it's like, hey, we're in Colorado. There's so much similar in our landscaping, right? So probably not the place you want to go on vacation, but
I don't go on vacation. I live my vacation. Oh.
yes.
So, what other things does Jessica do?
Well, I'm a mother to two beautiful boys. I work as an executive assistant for an accounting firm. I keep myself very busy. I'm
Mhm.
a wife to I think we're going on 15 years of marriage.
Mhm.
Been married, and I have a theater background, and I have a really crazy resume. Um, I really enjoy all the twists and turns that life gives, and have found strange ways to incorporate things like theater into health. And you would never think those things go hand in hand, but um, one of the things that I learned in theater class was how people hold their emotions.
Mhm.
And so we were given a task once in theater school to follow people from a distance and walk like them and just see what it felt like to walk like a person. And it was for character development, so that if you want to be, you know, closed off and sad, you might hunch your shoulders, or you might, you might shift if you're going to be a free, um, wizard or something.
Mhm.
And so you start to learn how we actually hold those emotions in the body,
Mhm.
and that comes into health more frequently than you would think.
Yeah.
It's like, well, have you been stuck holding everything on your shoulders? Is that maybe what's going on with, the shoulder problem that you're having?
Yeah.
When did that start? And once we start to move through where that shoulder pain came from, it's
Yeah.
amazing how easily those things will release sometimes.
Yeah, that's so funny that you mentioned that, because years ago I was a professional dog trainer, and I had this young couple come in where to the store that I was training out of, and it just cracked me up. So it's the whole energy thing and how you hold yourself, right? So they had this little dachshund cross that sounded like a bloody piranha coming in from the parking lot. All that kind of craziness. And the girl was a little tiny thing, and she comes in, she's all hunched in, and her boyfriend was like well over 6 feet tall, and he's all hunched in with the hoodie over, and they're so embarrassed that this dog is doing all this. And I literally took the leash from them, and just the dog just stopped. He just dropped. He stopped because he just knew energetically he was done. Like he couldn't pull that stuff with me. And they were like, "Oh my God, how did you do that? How did you do that?" So I gave her back the leash, and I said, "I'm going to get you to walk in front of me, and I want you to listen to what I say to you." And she's like, "Okay." So she starts walking, and she's all hunched over, and I'm behind her like a drill sergeant, literally. "Get those shoulders back, stick that chest out, shake what God gave you." And she started so much that the dog, she just relaxed totally, and the dog settled right down. Like he just went right back to being super mellow. So that whole body language thing is such a huge part. And that's even before I knew anything about the energy piece that I now know because of the work that I'm now doing, right? So it's just so funny you said that. It's like I had to share that because that was like the funniest thing I've ever done. And I do that to people when I am working with them, if they're really closed in and they're really, so I get behind them, and everybody instantly starts laughing, and they let her rip, right? So that's fun. That's fun.
Well, the power of laughter, the power of having something like a mindset of ease as opposed to stress. I
Hmm.
mean, we put so much pride in our stress sometimes. And it's like, wait,
So
I don't
wrong.
have to be stressed. I don't have to worry. Like that's not a thing that has to happen. You
Yeah.
can choose that, but is it fixing anything? Is it an energetic leak? Is it something that's stealing your energy from the things you could be creating or building in your life, right? And that also includes making yourself a healthier person. If your goal is to exercise, if you're going into an exercise routine and you're like, oh, I have to exercise today and I really don't want to, maybe I'll just go over here and have my cup of coffee. How likely is it that you're going to go do it? You have to go into it and say, boy, I can't wait to feel good in my body.
Yeah.
And I know I have a trust or a faith that I can step into that.
Mhm.
And without that willingness to change, there's no pill, there is no treatment that will fix you and heal you.
Yeah.
And I used to think I was a little silly or a little wooey or a little out there with some of these ideas. But the more that I work with people, the more I am reminded how valuable just that reset can be for people.
Yeah. It's so powerful. And it has to be, you're right, like it has to be the client, the person has to be the one to make the decision that they want to make that change, and they have to commit to themselves. Like I get a lot of times in the work that I do, people saying, "Oh, well, that they just come because they want me to fix them instantly," and it's like, well, I can't. That's up to you, right? You're accountable for that, and that tends to shift a lot of people's perspective on things because they just don't think that they actually have that power, and you do. But if you're not committed, nothing. You're not letting me down when you don't show up for your appointment. You're letting yourself down. And so, how committed are you then, right?
Well, and when you allow your power to be outside yourself, when you allow things to happen to you
Yeah.
and you don't take responsibility or ownership, it's like, okay, that happened to me, but what's my response to that? And that's what's important. Whatever's happening is going to happen, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
What's important is that response.
Hmm.
So,
Absolutely.
and how does that feel in your body when you respond in that way? Is that aligned for you? If
Hmm.
you really enjoy being angry at the news, then by all means,
Yeah.
like I support you, right?
Yeah. But
Um,
really, just turn it off.
yeah, seriously. It's not doing anyone any good.
No, not at all.
It's a distraction, it's an addiction. And when I started thinking of emotions as addictive,
Hmm.
that was a really interesting shift for me too.
Hmm.
Like, you can be addicted to being grumpy or sad or tired. You can convince yourself that you have no energy and you're full of brain fog when maybe there's potential for that to lift, even with the idea that, oh, it doesn't have to be that way every day.
Yeah.
And even with the awareness of, is it as bad as it was yesterday? If you're tuned into your body, it's going to change. You might always have shoulder pain, but even if you sit with it for 5 minutes, you'll learn that the shoulder pain will shift
Hmm.
and it will release, and sometimes it will tighten up. And you can begin to play with, if I breathe in a certain way or sit in a certain way or stretch, like what brings ease to that?
Hmm.
And once the body starts to learn, oh, that works, then it's much easier to unfold,
Yeah.
as opposed to just going to a massage therapist and saying, dig as deep as you can.
Yeah.
It's like you have to breathe with the massage therapist to get that muscle to release, right?
Yeah.
Um,
And bring on the Rainer massage, man. Get as deep as you can.
I love a deep massage, I will
Yeah.
say, but you do have to work with it, right? And you have to drink your water afterwards. If
Oh,
you go to
yes.
a good massage, then you have to detox the body, let it release, allow that, and be open to it.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So, what other things would Jessica like to share with us today? Anything and everything. Or if you don't even want to share anything, you just want to talk about different stuff, what do you want to talk about? I mean, that's what this is about, right?
Hmm. What do I want to talk? That's a open-ended question, isn't it?
Of course
Um,
it is.
hmm. I kind of have an inclination to talk about epigenetics,
Okay.
because I think it's an interesting new thing in medicine.
Hmm.
Um, And what epigenetics means is like above the genes, right? And so for a long time, we looked really deeply into what are my genes doing? My genes define who I am. If I'm born with this gene, then I'm determined, if I have the sad gene, I'm going to be sad forever. And the epigenetics piece is really interesting because it talks about the environment that the cell is in and
Hmm.
what turns the genes on and off. Genes don't turn themselves on and off on their own.
Yeah.
That's something that we do with the environment that we place our genes in.
Hmm.
And I think this topic really helps to bring home why it's important to be aware of how we are being every day,
Yeah.
because it affects the environment of our body and it determines how our genes turn on and off.
Yeah.
So some some people are aware, but not as many as maybe I would hope. Something like a BRCA gene.
Hmm.
It's even if you have the BRCA gene, which is the gene for breast cancer, right? That only gives you a 50% chance of having breast cancer.
Right.
And so it's how the body turns that on or off that really comes in and makes a difference.
Hmm.
So you know, I just think that the environment that we're putting ourselves in,
Yeah.
the things that we choose to take on and the things that we choose to say no to makes so much more of a difference to our health than we recognize and that we are aware of.
Hmm.
And this is a message that I'm putting out there for anyone who's listening who is a type A overachiever kind of person who is driving too hard every day and putting themselves on the back burner and saying, it doesn't matter if I'm stressed. I can deal with that. I know it and I can handle it and I can work overnight and I can work during the day and I can have 3 jobs and I can do all the things and I
Hmm.
don't need time for myself. I will take care of everyone else first, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That was me 20, 25, 30 years ago. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it resulted in a breast cancer diagnosis back in 2009. So yeah, I was that person. And yeah, no more. So the epigenetics really fascinates me as well. I came across it about 6 or 7 years ago through Dr. Bruce Lipton,
Mhm.
and with the work that he's done with the cells and how our thoughts, and it's and I never get the name right. Masaru Emoto, who does the water test,
Mm.
was something that absolutely blew my mind when I first came across it. It was like, wow, what you think actually does affect everything around you. And for people that don't understand that, look that up. Go and watch that. See what happens when you try the experiment yourself. It's fascinating. And Bruce Lipton's work is brilliant as well because he brings it to the fore. You know, he was labeled as a heretic way back in the 70s when he started working with cells and recognizing that, you know, our energy and what we do to ourselves and what we allow in our lives absolutely turns on and off those crazy things. So yeah, it's fascinating. I'm still learning about it, so I can't talk in depth about it, but I love it. It's fascinating.
I think it was him that I was listening to, and he was saying that stress is like going into a bomb shelter.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the metaphor because it's like you go into a bomb shelter to be protected, and that's a beautiful thing, right? You don't want to get blown up by the bomb.
Yeah.
But even if the bomb goes off, at some point you have to come out of that shelter or you're going to starve to death in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a lot of people out there that are starving to death in their bomb shelters going, oh, I don't want anything scary or bad ever to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to stay here where I'm safe. And
Yeah.
the thing is, if you're safe and you're comfortable, you're not growing.
Yeah.
And growth happens when we have a challenge or we're up against something difficult. So sometimes it requires getting uncomfortable or digging into something that
Mm-hmm.
is not that's not sitting on the couch and watching TV with a bag of potato chips, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes if we have grief, we have to go deep into it before we can come back out. Otherwise, it sits in this backpack on our shoulder
Mm-hmm.
and it will occasionally come out and knock and say, "Hey, I'm still here." But if you keep putting it back, it gets stronger and stronger until it finally knocks loud enough that you hear.
Mm-hmm.
And so many times that knocking will show up as a physical illness in the body.
Yeah. Yep. It absolutely does. It absolutely does. And yeah, so his work is fabulous. David Berselli, who does trauma release exercises, his work is brilliant as well because it's all somatic stuff. And that helps, you know, I mean, there's so many things that and so many techniques that are out there that people can utilize to de-stress their bodies and to release some of that nonsense, as well as, you know, the practical things of what you eat, how you sleep, what you're drinking, what you're thinking. Yeah, that whole thing. It's so synergistically everything. And interestingly enough, I mean, the work that I do covers a lot of that. The work that you do covers a lot of it. And a lot of the people that I know or the people that are in my circle, and certainly in the group that we're working in, we all recognize that piece. And there's so many people that are not aware of how much what we think, feel, and what we bring into us actually affects everything that we do. And it's sad that we have to get to that crisis point, right? The only time I ever see any clients for hypnotherapy is because they've tried everything else and they're desperate.
Right.
If you just came to me at the beginning, you wouldn't have had to go through all of that crap to get there, right? But we all have our journey and we're all here to learn. So to not grow is not, that's not anything that is part of the mandate of being a human being. We are here to grow and learn.
Well, and I think I shared with you the Facebook post. I don't even know who it was from, but it's got a little hole in the ground and a guy sliding down into the hole, and it's like that's the easy choice. But
Mhm.
then you have to climb back up this cliff that's like got an overhang and everything to get out of it. Or you can take a hard decision and climb the mountain gradually to get to the top of the cliff.
Yeah,
But one way or another, you're either going to just hang out down in that little hole and never come out, which some people choose,
yeah,
or if you want to make your life better, it's going to require work. And it depends on how deep you are into that hole,
yeah,
where you start on that journey to get out. But you absolutely can get out wherever you are on
mhm,
that journey.
yeah, yeah. It's
Um,
always a choice.
mhm. Yeah.
Always a choice.
Every day, every day I wake up and have to make a choice. Today is going to be a good day, right? And I love oh, I can't remember who does the work, but there is some work out there where she talks about setting up your future um, at the beginning of the day. So you look at your day and you like future cast, or you um, plan out what is the best possible thing that could happen today.
Yeah.
And I love that idea because a lot of times we wake up in the morning and go, what do I have on my to-do list? Oh no, this person might say that. That person might say this. This could go wrong, right? And we start down that rabbit hole as soon as we wake up. You turn
Mhm.
on your phone and you look at social media
Yeah.
and you're down the rabbit hole. And
Yeah.
all of a sudden it's like, I got to get to work. I'm late for work. I forgot my coffee. My are my keys here? I don't know where my keys went, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it can go very awry very quickly, right?
Yeah.
Or you can wake up and start the day and go, if this day was the most powerful day that I've ever lived, like how would it break out? And so how is my drive to work? What does my work day feel like?
Mhm.
Who am I talking to, and what does the conversation energetically feel like? Are we really engaged? Eye contact?
Mhm.
Um, when I pick up my kids from school, what kind of conversations are we having? How are we behaving with each other?
Mhm.
Am I playing with my kids after work instead of just going straight into the cooking, right? And you start to use your creativity to imagine what this could be. And it's amazing how once you have that in your head,
Mhm.
it will play out like that many times,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And even if it doesn't, even if you have a lunch meeting that you planned out in your head where you wanted really good communication and somebody comes along and spills coffee on you, you're still focused on that lunch meeting
Mhm.
being a good interaction. And it's not your priority to be so focused on the coffee spill,
Right.
right?
Right. Yeah. I know for me, every morning I wake up, and because I do have a lot of ongoing, still undiagnosed issues going on physically, I can, the second my eyes open, it's like, okay, I'm not hurting. It's going to be a great day. Or if the cat's been on me and I'm lying in a weird position, it's like, okay, that's going to take a while to work out, but it's going to be a good day, right? So, yeah, yeah, it's definitely the mindset shift. We absolutely have to do that. And
Well,
it,
and first thing in the morning, call your energy back to you.
mhm,
Bring some good energy in. Just imagine a flow, an inflow of good energy coming back, because we do lose a lot of energy in sleep. If we sleep wrong or we're having weird dreams or whatever, having a minute while you've got that melatonin really high in your body,
mhm,
first thing in the morning, to just take 5 minutes and imagine energy coming back to you.
yeah.
Imagine yourself feeling healed. If you are struggling in the morning, that can be super powerful too.
Oh, yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah, this is awesome. Thank you. I enjoy this so much. I mean, I know because we've had other conversations, we just go on and on and on and
Good.
on. So, yeah. So, is there anything else that you want to chat about?
Nothing is at top of mind. I imagine there aren't any other questions that you have at this point.
Yeah, no, those are the basic ones I ask everybody. It's like, okay, so who, what, when, where, why, and how, right? Like, how did you get into this work? How did you get into this work? That's
So I
okay.
was asked by the doctor that I work with. I was a phlebotomist for many, many years, and ended up trading with her phlebotomy for healthcare services for many years.
Mhm,
And she saw the interest and the passion in me, and she offered to train me as her health coach because she needed help with that piece of integration.
mm,
Working with kind of the high level women that I work with, um, I find that they have a hard time connecting and communicating because they're so deep in thought, right? It's very hard when you're a doctor and you have all the protocols and the details. It's that audio digital kind of person where it's like, okay, this is what you do, then this.
yeah.
But then what happens is a patient goes to a doctor and they get all this, like, I'm supposed to take how many supplements? And then I'm supposed to do what when?
Yeah.
And so figuring out, okay, how does that work in your life with the kind of breakfast that you eat and the fasting schedule that you have and and the time that you have to take your kids to school. So there's a lot of just how does that actually realistically play out?
Mhm.
And how do I not forget to take my supplements if I have to take them 3 times a day and I'm at work, right? And so building those habits, figuring out if you have to exercise 5 times a week, where does that fit in the schedule?
Right.
And that is also a big piece of what I do, which is really important to have that vision of what when do I do it? And
Mhm.
also how does it make me feel when I'm done? If I don't work out 5 days a week, where am I going to be? And if I do work out 5 days a week, and if I work out 3 days a week, where's that going to get me?
Right.
You know,
Right.
and what's that perfect balance for me right now? Sometimes my clients are working on getting 150 extra steps a day,
Mhm.
right? It's not very high level for somebody who's really an athlete, but for those people, that 150 steps makes all the difference.
Yeah.
So it's meeting people where they're at and coming up with an individualized plan, which I also think is overlooked in the traditional medicine
Mhm.
world many times. It's
Right.
like you come out of a conversation with a doctor, like, I have what disease and I have to take what pill?
Yeah.
Right? How do I emotionally incorporate this? What do I deal like how do I deal with it? How do I tell my boss like I have to take medical leave or whatever it is that's
Yeah.
going on?
Yeah, absolutely. So I know that you're working on developing your business up, but what is it that you're working on? Like, do you have specific programs that you're working on developing, or who is, okay, so throw it back to some of our coaching stuff that we're going through. What is your statement? Who do you work with?
So I tend to work best with high achieving women, type A personality, who are pushing themselves to the max and not putting themselves first. It's the women that say that they would give the air mask on an airplane to their children before they'd take it for themselves. And that's exactly where I was. And that's why it's a clientele that really resonates for me,
Hmm.
because figuring out how to put that mask on myself was really, really important. So I work with those types of people who feel like they are in so much stress and just don't know what to do.
Hmm.
It's like I'm so stressed. I have all these obligations. I have to make the bills. I have to pay the health insurance. I have to do the things. And I don't know how to get out of this stress. I don't know how to get out of my way.
Hmm.
And it's amazing what we can do to help support that, even if it doesn't, like, even if you have to stay in your job, your obligations, your life doesn't change at all. We can do some research into where did you get this belief that you need to give of yourself to everyone else all of the time?
Yeah.
And is it really the thing that is helping? Or would it be more helpful if you were living in your full potential, being the strongest version of yourself and being the most efficient and effective version of yourself? Are you
Mhm.
more supportive of your children if you're not exhausted, right?
Yeah.
Is that more important than saying, oh, well, I'll give you that soccer game, or I'll go to soccer and take you there every day even though I don't have the time to do it. What is the balance for you? Is it giving them the soccer and the things, the extracurriculars, or would it be more beneficial to stay home and cook with them? And for each person that's different. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with soccer,
Yeah. No.
but if you're going to go to the soccer game, then you have to figure out what is going to move. So if then that means the priority is not on the home cooking in this case, if I was
Mhm.
using these two things. And so what is an effective way to go out and get that healthy food
Right.
and get that to the soccer practice for the kids?
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, so yeah, just helping move through this idea that stress is our friend, that stress is protecting us.
Hmm.
Stress is a type of fear often,
Hmm.
and that we don't recognize because we're like, oh, my stress, I have it. I love going to holiday parties, especially work ones, because everybody's like, look what I've been doing. I'm
Yeah.
so stressed and I'm completely exhausted and I don't sleep and I work over the weekends. And it's like this,
Yeah.
it's this badge of honor almost that people
Hmm.
wear. And when we can start to address that and figure out why did that show up for you and why is it that way,
Yeah.
it can be really um, it can allow an energetic shift that gives you
Hmm.
so much more energy, so much more clarity,
Hmm.
and so much more joy in your life, right?
Right. That's beautiful. So for anybody that's listening that would like to explore this a little further with Jessica, because I know she's working on this program and it's going to be absolutely brilliant because she is absolutely brilliant. So I will make sure that the contact information is once the video publishes, I'll make sure that information is there so anyone can get in touch with you. And yeah, is there anything else that you want to discuss?
For right now, before the program is built out, I do have an email, and I have a freebie that I give away that is just about the different types of stress in our life, looking at maybe you have stress that's environmental or creative or emotional. There are a lot of different ways that stress can show up, even just through the food that you eat, right? So
Right.
the checklist is just a really fun way to go through and check and see where is my highest level and what could I do in that area.
Mm-hmm.
And if you sign up for that list, even if you don't use the list, it will get you on my email list. And I do send out just some general coaching thoughts and advice. It's sort of an email blog that goes out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a fun way to stay in tune. If you feel like you are one of those high stress people, you can get a feel for what I talk about. So I will definitely give you the link for that. And
Okay, perfect, perfect. Yeah. Yeah, because I mean it's so important, and the biggest reason that I wanted to do all these interviews, and I say that in every interview because it's always going to be different people that are catching it, is I'm doing these things as a way to help those of us that are in the helping industries, in the healing industries, to explain to people who they are, what they do, and how important it is, you know, that we take control of our lives and we take control of our health and stuff. And it just to help promote everybody, right? It's like it's a community and we need to be able to share that with everybody. So I thank you very much for sharing today, Jessica. I won't take up any more of your time because I know you are a very busy lady. You're still a type A, honey.
yes, yes, it's true.
In any event, I thank you so very, very much for your time today. And yeah, folks, just keep listening. It's Conversations from the Farm. And if you have anybody, or if you have a business or you're just starting your business or you'd like to come on board, shoot me an email and let me know. It's trycatcherwellness@gmail.com. And I'll make sure that that link is also at the bottom of this when it gets posted. And I will make sure that Jessica's links are there as well. So thank you very much, everybody, and have a great day.
Thank you.